then I will say hello and welcome to everyone here today to watch Pochh versus Sredz. I'm joined today with Tuck from Screech Bob commentary.
Hello.
Get rid of
Looking forward to an
that.
exciting full day of Keyforge.
Yeah, it's going to be really intense actually. Um, it's kind of crazy that everyone decided to schedule their matches on Sunday, like at the last minute that they could. Um,
Well, if you will, to a league that has everyone from all over the world, I guess this is one of the things that will happen.
that's true. That's true. Oh gosh, everything is the wrong way round. Um, both of these contestants have made it through to season 3 of KFPL by virtue of getting into the top 16. So huge achievement from those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And some really good play as well. I think Sredz qualified top of his group. I can't remember if Pochh, I think, came up through the playoff round.
Uh, we can definitely have a check of that. Either way, the group that Pochh was in, it was Group H. It was ridiculously stacked. I think Alex Sheplev came top of the group, so
Ah, yeah.
probably the playoff. But that group was insane. So getting any amount of achievement in that group is just crazy.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the sort of groups of death.
Yeah. Um, Poch went 4-2 in the Swiss round robin round. Then he won against Anxious Pirate, and now he's here.
Taking on Sredz, who topped the group and went 5-1. He lost one game, but topped the group by virtue of beating the person who was in second. So we're looking forward to a very good game of Keyforge.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely mad. We got a little bit of pre-game deck chat. Should we start with Shreds' decks?
Yeah, let's start with Sredz stacks.
So, would you like to go through the first one and I'll do the second one?
Yeah, sure. So first deck we've got from Sredz, which is World Collide deck, is Mark's Atlas Market's Pupil, which is just, I mean, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. There is a lot of stuff in this deck. There's no sort of like wham huge combos, but what there is just a huge number of things that are incredibly useful. Plus a Primus Ungis to make all of his board incredibly sticky. I was in the same group as Sredz, and that that Primus is just incredibly irritating because it makes the entire board incredibly difficult to kill. Um, Additionally, he's got a huge amount of efficiency in the Star Alliance. You've got two Kirby's, you've got double candle unit in Logos to draw every time people are reaping, and you've got a Jasania to shut down archiving. It is just a lot of very good things. There's nothing that you look at it and go, if those two cards are played, he wins the game. But there's just a lot of stuff where you look at it, it builds up and up and up to a position where it is unbeatable.
Yeah, and basically all of those creatures are high priority targets, right? So you're kind of ruined for choice here.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, there isn't a single creature really there other than maybe, well, other than probably the Nurse Soto, where you can look at it and go, that can stick around. And even the Soto is sometimes useful.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be problematic when you've got a Primus Unguis that's 20 power and you're trying to chip it away.
Yeah, exactly. There's just nothing there that you look at it and go, that can live. So everything is a priority target. You just have to fight to keep the board if you're playing against it. And it's a very good deck at holding that board.
Hmm.
I think it probably covered everything from it.
Yeah. So we can go next onto the tie deck, the Fluff Librarian, which is apparently the translation. This has been banned in every single game apart from one, which was a sub game.
Which meant that Sredz got to pick it as the deck that wasn't banned.
So yeah, this is a very control-y deck. It's pretty speedy. It's got 19 pips, 26 creature control. Oh, sorry, 26 expected amber. So it is
Somewhat less.
very, very quick. You can just play your pips, clear the board, and stop your opponent from taking meaningful turns with all of the disc control, the three marks of disc, Eaton's Jar, Gateway. Notable here is 2 lights out, so that bounce is going to be really useful against capture. 2 reclaimed by natures, so huge amount of hard artifact control here. And you've got a nice word of returning, which is always good to see. So this is very anti-capture.
Yeah, I mean, it's got counters to all sorts of things, that deck, plus the Eaton's Jar, which, as Jupiter has said in the chat, is dominating the event in terms of decks that they're in.
Yeah, a lot of the players who are into this top 16 are running Eaton's Jar in their deck. So just in case people don't know, Eaton's Jar is you play it, you name a card, and you can no longer play that card. And a lot of these high level decks have a lot of multiples of very good cards. So it's having a bit of a disproportionate effect in this meta. That's like leading it to have a lot of success.
I mean, if you just look at the same deck, there's 3 marks of dis in it, right? Like, if your opponent is playing an Eaton's Jar deck and jars those 3, that is a third of the house gone.
Yep, and that's 3 pips out as well, so big effect. Finally, do you want to go over Milan?
Yeah, let's go through Milan, Allstung der Fürstung, which is incredibly fast deck. We talked about the Fluffy Librarian being fast. This has 32 expected amber, and you can straight off see where that is. You've got triple Ghostly Hand, you've got a Dust Pixie, you've got a Dew Fairy, you've got all sorts of cards that give you double pips or let you reap and have extra amber. You've also got, even in the disc, you've got the Steel from Schuler's, you've got an Urchin, you've got an Umbra to fight and steal as well. Relentless. Basically, if you can think of a card that has a pip, if you can think of a card in this deck, it probably has a pip or is in some way incredibly useful. It is just an incredibly fast deck, but it does other things as well. You've got an Ember Imp for a bit of sort of control and restricting your opponent's play. You've got a Game with a Disc to clear the board. You've got a Mind Barb to get things out of hand, and you've got to control the weak to force people into less than optimal turns. And then you want to be looking to close it out, probably with a Chota Hazri, potentially popping the Neptune Seed to get that Chota back. Possibly, in some cases, forging 2 keys in a single turn.
Yeah, and there's just so many tools here, right? So Mimicry is always a really valuable card, and even more so. The other day we were talking about how good Lateral Shift is, because the opponent just has good cards all the time, because that's the way that these decks are at this tier. Mimicry is almost always going to hit something extremely good.
Absolutely. It's just a lot of things that you can use in that deck to generate a lot of amber, forge your keys quickly, and try and win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should probably now look at Poch's decks.
Yeah. So I'll move on to those. I know you were quite excited about Olivier.
I look at Olivia and I am like, that is a deck I would adore to have.
Yeah. This is a bit of an unusual pick for a Kota deck. Got Logos Mars Untamed, which I am loving. The Mars is like the proper powerhouse of the deck, I think. So you've got 2 battle fleets, allowing you to draw a massive amount of cards. Double Squawkers can be used on the Zizix or the Mind Warper or the Grabber Jammer. You get a huge amount of value out of those. But most importantly, there's 2 Crystal Hives. So these add an extra amber on to any reaps in the turn. So you have 2 of them, you're getting 3 amber per reap, and with those Squawkers, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, because with the score, it's entirely possible to have a situation where you've got both Crystal Hives, 2 Mars cards in hand, drop them both, reap twice with Squawkers if you've got a big Mars hand. And that is just 6 amber off 2. Well, 6 amber off the reaps, 2 amber off the Squawkers.
Yeah, it's just mad.
And you've also got the Orbital Bombardment, which is useful for popping things off a board.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hover over it? Just note that it's revealing cards from your hand. So if you've just done a huge Battlefleet turn, maybe a huge double Battlefleet turn, you might realistically have all 12 Mars cards in your hand, other than those Battlefleets.
So it's amazing. I love to see it. I don't say that just as, the meme. It's beautiful. So the Untamed is also pretty gross. 2 Nature's Calls, 2 Ducks Pixies, 2 Hunting Witches. So got some big burst here, and then a Chota Hazri to finish it all off. Potential to forge multiple keys in a turn using Nature's Calls and the Chotas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of very, very quick stuff. And then there's the Logos, which I guess, I don't want to say is weak, because it's not, but comparatively.
Alright, I think we need to rush through the next few ones, right? Because
I think we do, because our players are starting. So, very quick summary of Peters. I guess a TLDR is, you got 6 Emperor Tyrannosaurus, double Tribute in the Saurian, bunch of really good cards in the rest of the houses.
Yep, very solid, quite typical Worlds Collide deck. Then Meaningless Savior of the Bayou. Amphora Captura, 19 pips, 32 pips that can trigger Amphora Captura. So a lot of capture. Double Xeno Training. There.
There's so much capture in that deck.
Yeah, and there's a fun Curiosaurus time that might be had in combination with the Amphora Captura. Lots to think about here, lots of moving parts, but should be exciting if it's allowed to be played. And we do have the bans.
We do.
So, of these 3, Olivier has been banned, so you won't be seeing any Mars, but we could see some Curiosaurus action.
In fact, we know that we will not be seeing it for the first round, though, because the first game will be Marks versus Peters.
And very typically, keeping with the trend, Fluffy has been banned from Sredz lineup.
Never going to get to play it.
No, he'll never get to play it. It's quite funny. So,
Sure.
We'll just get into the game real quick.
Yep.
So we've got Marks versus, which is the Worlds Collide deck, versus Peters. It's a World Collide off.
It is a Worlds Collide off. Lots of dinos. Some of my favourite Keyforge is big dinos. And there's going to be a lot of big dinos.
I can't actually find this game, you know.
You have to copy the link. You can't find it in the chat. I'm in.
Making me ruin my scenes.
Apparently, I was not watching because Pochh is not there yet.
Great. I also joined as a player. So that's fun. I'll switch back to this scene.
Get them to let us know when it's ready.
Okay, I've got that on my clipboard. That's better. Switch back to that call now. There we go.
Now they are both ready. Let's hope that that's true.
Okay, so out of the two Worlds Collide decks, which one do you think will be stronger here?
I am not sure, is my honest answer. My gut instinct is that it's probably Marks. I think if it gets that board going, it's going to be very difficult to beat.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, yeah, I think Peters is quite light on creature control in comparison.
yeah. I mean, it's got the Harbinger of Doom right in the puzzle, so it could do it. But there's going to be a risk, right? Which is that um, if that ball can get going, it might be very difficult to deal with. It has answers. It's got the Harbinger. It's got the Six Emperor. It's got E to steal things, and it's like graph, right? So it's not like it doesn't have answers. It's just that if it can get going, Marks is going to be very difficult to beat.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes shortly.
Once our players have resolved their internet issues. Okay, we're now abandoning the room that we're in.
Okay. Um, yeah, so we can look up the performance of these two decks in previous rounds. So Marks has gone 4-4, so it's been used quite a lot.
Yeah, it's only been banned once.
Mm.
Interesting, I think that it was banned that once in that game where Sredz was choosing them, which suggests maybe he thinks this is not his strongest deck.
Yeah.
But like that's the conclusion I draw from that, right? Is that he chose to ban when he had choice of what his own decks are banned because he doesn't think it's his strongest.
Then Pochh has actually played Peters only 3 times in the game in the tournament so far. Has gone 1-2 with it. It's been banned 3 times.
Interesting. I think the fact that it's only gone 1-2, 2-3 rather is what I've got.
Oh, perhaps my spreadsheet's not up to date.
He's got 2-3. You were right about Marks. Marks went 4-4. Peters went 2-3. That I think probably undersells how good a deck it is. I think it is much better than the 2-3 would suggest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Jupiter calling talking some good chat about Peters there. Let's see if we can watch this game. Where are the game we're trying to find?
I'm actually very much struggling to get into this game.
It does not exist, according to me.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Yeah, we apologise for these technical issues. Let's have a good old look at this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So this is top 16 as it stands. We've got these 5 games all today.
So many games.
Yeah, huge amount of content coming today.
Including, of course, more Screech Bomb commentary coming from the traditional team Screech Bomb of Callum and the good doctor Callum Young and Baron Von Fabulous.
You'd love to see it.
I can now find the game.
Hooray!
We're gonna have some Keyforge.
It's happening. Okay.
It's an open
Um.
game, so you just search for Sredz and or Pochh.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Hooray!
Asking, did he set a timer? Good question.
I hope he did.
Pochh asking, is that right? Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And he did set a timer, so we're
Good.
all good.
Good. Good. Good. Okay. We're finally into the game. Um. Got Pock at the bottom part of the screen playing Peters. Sredz at the top playing Marks. Pock is going to take the first turn and does a swift mulligan. Both players mulligan, in fact. So suboptimal hands there.
Starts with a Liffle. Always not a bad card, but you got to think there's definitely things you might have preferred to have seen in his first two
Oh
hands
yeah,
than this.
absolutely. Shred's going into Star Alliance.
Oh, that's very nice to get the 6-0 Tabor off the wild wormhole there.
Yeah, very nice. Now Shreds has a difficult decision to decide which one to taunt. Goes for the Tabor. And
Yeah,
passes turn. That's a very good first turn. Nice board set up there.
fighting into that Kirby makes sense. Don't let him live. Oh, and Droops and E's on the fringes already.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. The Lilful is going to be in the discard pile soon. That is one of the purge targets, right?
Yeah. Got to think actually, there's quite a few good charge targets in there, right? Particularly saying Soul Fiddle.
Well, what are you saying? It's the best card in the game.
That's Mutant Cutpurse. Even if Mutant Cutpurse isn't the best card in the game, I'm not sure that Soul Fiddle is much better than it.
Okay, so Shred's taking a bit of time to think over his next move. Does have the Tabor on the board, so has some options to play out of house, which is good. Decides to go back into a Star Alliance turn and gets the Frames Blaster out.
To the Tabor?
Twin Bolt Emission with the Tabor gets rid of the EE and the Lilliful. And yeah, turn 2, almost up to check for Shreds.
What band is a Harbinger of Doom? Just for the
bit of a rough turn there, not getting any creatures to ward or get play effects from. But Pochh cycles his hand a little bit, keeps the Harbinger of Doom out as a threat.
I think that's the key thing here. Is so long as that Harbinger is on the board, Shreds can't look to play a huge board in response to it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, it's all warded, which is possible.
Yeah. With the Skewsum and the ward, that's a very risk-free Jarsa there. Pochh going into a Logos turn, plays down Daughter, gets a little bit of extra efficiency from the increased hand size. Plays out an E-die to increase Shred's key cost, take him off check.
And the ward is gone on the Jarsa now from that Twin Bolt. Quite a I wouldn't say slow, but sort of like grindy start here. Both players building up a board.
Yeah, building up the board a little bit, having it wiped, rebuilding it again.
Probably having it wiped again, given that Harbinger.
So we'll have a look and see what got discarded from the Igor. It was a Frayne and a Candle unit.
Town Fate, which you've got to assume he drew off that Igor.
Mm.
Oh, and the Dysania as well. This is a huge Logos board that Sredz has built.
Yep, but that Harbinger is still sat there looming.
And I feel like it might be about to get...
Yep, there it goes.
Oh, and it zooms for the...
Oh, and the steal is going to start happening. The Buzzle gets purged. The Purger has now become the Purgee.
Stealing 2, purging the festering type and the puzzle. That is a very nice swing there from Pochh.
Yep. Gets himself onto check for first key. And we have the Primus Unguis coming out from Sredz with the CSI. Now we can get the full Miami, but the moment has passed.
Yeah. Got to think that Shred's not super happy with that, given that he's only got the one Saurian card down when he plays it.
Yes. Gets the ward onto the Primus Unguis though, so when he gets some more creatures down, it will be buffing it, and the EE on the fringes can't really do much more than plink that ward off.
Yeah, but of course, every turn it sits there, there's always a chance that he's discard and stealing. Oh, not anymore, because that Phalanx Strike.
Oh dear. So, Sredz back up over check for first key.
Yeah.
And Pochh going into a Logos efficiency turn, starting off with, I'm going to need to cough, I'm sorry.
We could be looking for the graph there, get 2 amber off it. Could be looking for the... Oh, there we go, Cutthroat Research to steal 2. Steals 2. Okay. And a graph to the amber to put himself on 9 amber in total. That is a very nice turn from Pochh there.
Yep, nice turnaround there. Well over check for first key. Sredz with the Primus Unguis sat on the board goes into Saurian.
Gonna wonder if you're Pochh, you might have wanted to see that graft a little later, but it's not that.
I think getting a 3 amber swing off it is pretty good.
Yeah. Starting to drop. Oh, and that's a big play with the Orator History there.
Yeah.
That Primus Unguis getting real chunky now. And we've already seen one of the Harbingers. Oh, and there's the second. And Gleeful May, that's huge. That is huge.
Yep. Pochh gobbling up all of that amber sat on those Saurian creatures, gets on to check for his second key.
That's a huge play. The Harbinger of Doom, Gleeful Mayhem. Like, before this, I was like, hey, Poch's in a good position, but Sredz, not bad. That is a huge swing for Pochh there. But he drops the quarter onto the frame.
Yep, not quite managing to get Pochh off of check, so he does secure his second key. But starting to set up a nice board there with some exalts, so it's a bit harder to remove with the Axiom that's left in Poch's deck.
Yes, he is now down just to that Axiom as board clear. And Sredz is almost... Well, he's going to flip his deck this next draw. We say that. Sorry about that. Kills that.
And get some damage on the Information on Officer Grey here. Tribute onto Ludo, not ideal.
Are we going to see... Yeah.
Trick Semper play.
That's huge. I was like, oh, we're going to see it. We absolutely did see it.
Huge rush there from Pochh. Massive Amber Burst gets him up to check for his final key. What can Sredz do?
I would say Ghost Star Alliance. Don't think there's much you can do here.
No, it's mostly the frames, right, that you have. And they're both in the bin right now, and the quadricorder is as well.
I don't think there's anything he can do here.
Oh, but maybe something out of house with the Kirby.
No, there we go.
And game 1 goes to Pochh.
In under 10 minutes. That was some speed.
Yeah.
I think we maybe underrated how quick Peters could be in the deck chat there.
Yeah, absolutely we did. I think maybe we didn't get time to address it because we didn't get to do that. But yeah, that double tribute, 6 Semper, the graft, there's just a huge amount of control there.
Sredz saying that he will stay with Marks. I always find it interesting, the stick or twist, as it were, with your decks in Triad. If you lose, I like to switch it up. I always feel like if I've had a bad game with a deck, it'll taint my view of that deck going forward. But I can see where Marks is a deck that Sredz knows very well. Might just want to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean it's potentially a better matchup for Shreds going into the it'll be the Amphora Captura deck next.
Yeah. So there is definitely some argument there that you can counter that quite hard. And Curia, not great against a Primus Angus deck, because it's likely that Angus is going to be the largest power creature, and adding Amber to it only makes it larger.
Yes, that's correct.
So you've got to think that that might be something that you're thinking about if you're Shreds. Also, got to think maybe if you're Shreds that that deck doesn't actually have a huge amount of removal.
Yes, so he's likely to be able to build up.
A fairly substantial board
Mm,
because there's only really a Pale Star and some spot damage to get some serious clear. Pale Star though could be huge if you've got
yep, there's pain reactions in there and some other things. Lots of ways to get a little bit of damage on those creatures and then blow them up with Pale Star.
we do have Game Link, which has the right player. There we go.
Okay, so we'll flick over to that now. Players have changed positions on the screen this time, so we've got Shreds at the bottom playing Mark's Ratamarket's Pupil again. Pochh at the top of the screen playing Meaningless Xavier of the Bayou. I think we've got a little bit of time to have a proper talk about this deck. Um, so, Curiosaurus, when a creature dies, 1 amber is captured by an opposing creature with the highest health.
Let's move to the creature with the highest.
Yes. And this deck has a lot of ways to capture amber, most notably the Amphora Captura, which has 33 capture pips, effectively. You've got the 2 Xeno trainings, you've got a Sredz, 2 Spoils of Battle, and something important to note here is the 2 Profectus Ludo. So you do actually get a choice between what triggers first, the Ludo or the Curiosaurus.
Indeed, it's quite important when you might have amber stacked on your big creatures. When they die, you can be like, no, I would like that amber to go to the common supply rather than to go to my opponent's creatures.
Yes, so Pochh has an enormous amount of control over the way that the Curiosaurus swings the game.
Yeah. Some technical differences. Pochh.
And this is a choice really that Shreds does not have in this deck. So he doesn't have any Ludos. He does have an Imperial Scutum, but that will only hit 1 target. So
As we were saying, it's likely that the largest creature on Sred's board is going to be just 1 card. Our players are making a new game. It's likely that that creature is going to be that Primus Angus, and if it is, and you're Scutum it, pretty good for you. Particularly because it means that you can have. Obviously, you want the Scutum on the Angus anyway, but the Scutum with the Curia could actually be an issue for Pochh, right? Because, as we're saying, there's not a huge amount of removal on the Pale Star, and that Primus gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Enough chunk to reach the stars themselves. See if the next one.
right, so we're just going to manual the starting player here.
Oh, they're doing the manual first turn. I cannot get into this game.
Okay, here we go.
Let's hope that the explanation of how to do the manual turn one works.
Yeah, so we've done some jiggery pokery. Uh, now Sredz is going into his turn one. He's got 7 card opening hand. As the first player should. Plays out CXO Tabor as his first card and goes on to Poch's first turn.
Off to the races.
Yep. Going into the Star Alliance turn, we've got Survey to get some nice cards. Going into like a huge amount of Star Alliance actually.
Yeah, and then that Xeno training with 2 damage to kill that CXO Tabor. That is a big Star Alliance turn there.
Yeah, it's massive. But Sredz going into his next turn, Star Alliance again. Would be nice to have the Tabor still out, I imagine, but I'm sure he has a decent hand for Star Alliance there.
And he's got the other one, the Kirby, to Kirby to ward the Frayne and the Kirby as well. That's nice.
Yeah, that is really good. Pochh going into a Dis turn, getting a load of draw pips now. Mark of Dis onto the Kirby. So that's the first one of 3 coming out. Sorry, 2 coming out there.
And that Kirby is now dead, which means that he's just got to go Star Alliance, and Pochh is at 6 already. What is Sredz doing here?
Okay, back into Star Alliance. Just going to mill the deck a little bit. Get a little bit of capture with the Frayne and spread that amber out.
Archives the city-state interest. That is a big deal because you are saying to Pochh and Sredz, I have city-state interest ready for me to use when I want to.
Mm-hmm. And that's big for when the Curiosaurus comes out.
Yep. The Nell with the upgrades, drawing cards, killing that brain. That information officer Grey really cannot reap. And a Xeno train to catch one. Oh, another huge turn from Pochh there.
Yep. Onto 10 amber for his first key. This is brutal. Sredz going into a Logos turn, got a lot of Logos cards available, gets that candle unit down, as well as a group think tank, which should be useful for clearing out some of Poch's creatures. Steals one with an information exchange and sets up a wonderful 5-creature Logos board.
Yeah, that is a really nice Logos board there. Defense initiative from Pochh. And spoils of battle. Just let Sredz have some amber, Pochh. You're just stopping the man having any amber.
Yeah.
Particularly with that Ludo, which means that even if he kills those creatures, he ain't getting it back until the Ludo's gone first.
Yep. It's pretty chonky to get rid of right now.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it in Logos, but you probably don't want to. Interestingly, the Babbling Bibliophile is still alive.
Yes, so there's a potential for a bit of a greed play here, where you go back into Logos, you get all of the abilities there.
Yep, and that might be what we're seeing. Certainly the Babbling Bibliophile. And the Telltale Vapors.
Mm-hmm.
If he draws the Twin Bottom Mission off this could be quite powerful.
Yes, he's managed to get it. Pings the wards off
I'm curious about that choice.
Nell and the Galliatops.
I might have pipped it off the Ludo and the Nell.
Well, we'll see what the result is. So, cycles the Igor by chucking it into Prefectus Ludo.
I mean, what is he chucking that Tisania into? Also into the Ludo. Maybe you fight the candle unit into something here. Oh, Quantum Finger Trap! I think I might know what he's about to do. No, I don't know. I thought he was going to try and rearrange things so none of his creatures would take damage from the group think tank, but it's not what's happened.
Yes.
Could be a misplay.
And of course, you don't want to.
Yeah.
So the 2 amber that was on the Explorer Rover go to the general supply. It's still got another candle unit out and another daughter, bringing Shred's hand size up to 7. There's some tasty amber left on Poch's creatures to try and get, and
Particularly the Nell, which you want to kill anyway.
yes. Now that is applies for opponents' upgrades as well as your own. So with the Star Alliance upgrades in Marks, it's a bit of a annoying target.
Pochh at 5 amber and 1 key. Shreds on 5, no keys. Looking good for Pochh, but it's not saleable yet.
Okay, so options for Shreds at this point. He's got a little bit of catching up to do.
Okay, he's going Saurian, pulls all of his archers. We know CSI is in there.
Yes, so the Axiom's going to hurt him more than it helps him right now, but Chant of Hubris.
He's setting up for an Axiom play here, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure of it. Yeah, this is the look of a man who is setting up for a big Axiom play.
But the question is, will we get the full Miami?
Well, we know that CSI was archived, so I'd be surprised if we didn't see the full Miami at this point. Gotta wonder, does he have the Unguis? 9 cards left in deck? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not, given that he's played the CSI without it.
Yep. So that is the city-state interest in, and we get the Axiom of Gris coming down for the full Miami.
Do you ward if you're Sredz here? Possibly the candle unit? No, of course the daughter. I can see that. Their extra efficiency is really nice.
Okay, and Shreds on check for key 1, Pochh on no amber, having had it all captured. We do see the Amphora Captura come into play, and the Curiosaurus, so it's shenanigans time.
It is shenanigans time.
So this is an opportunity for Shreds to deny a bit of amber here to Pochh.
See what happens. He's going Star Alliance.
So we've got those 2 Kirby's in and 2 frames as well. So lots more little individual capture pips going on here to capitalise on the Curiosaurus.
And there's the Kirby. What do we think he's going to play out of hand here?
So potentially Phalanx Strike gets rid of the Ludo.
Yeah, well, goes to the Stunner. Quadricorder. Quadricorder big. Did not actually play anything off the Kirby there.
Oh. Well, at least he's got it taunted now. It's behind the Kerkar. Quadricorder is taunted too.
Marco Dix into Logos.
Yep, to get rid of that daughter. Shreds still has Candle Unit and Group Think Tank on the board.
Yeah, it's not the worst house to be forced into. But you've got to think there's maybe not that much in Sredz' hand that's in Logos.
So let's see, we've got 3 on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, the discards, that is all of them.
Yeah, it's mathematically impossible for...
So, Shreds here, if he uses the Group Think Tank, it kills the Snorret, but also kills both of his key Star Alliance creatures here. The Candle unit can capture
To
one.
say that, you can actually use the Quantum Finger Trap here.
Oh, that is true, yes.
You could shuffle around your board so that nothing gets hit by your own groupthink tank. But
Yes, you could move the Kerkar, couldn't you?
yeah, you could swap the care car and the groupthink tank. It would mean that Kirby wasn't warded, but it doesn't matter if the Kirby's warded if it dies.
That's true, and it does do a huge amount of damage.
And there we go, as we said. Not quite enough damage to kill that Galatops.
Yes, and I guess Sredz does want to kill it on his own terms, rather than on Poch's, because Pochh will probably ditch all the amber with the Ludo.
That's true.
So the Kerker and the Frame will die, which removes the
Yeah,
contact order.
the problem here if you're Sredz is there's nothing you can do to kill stuff on that other side that doesn't end up handing at least one amber over to Pochh. But he goes for it anyway.
Yep, the Sredz amber will be transferred to the Lieutenant Kerkar.
And frames to that Galatops, which is sitting there with quite a lot of amber on it. Got to think of your Pochh, you want to kill it this turn.
Yeah.
Oh, Pale Star, that could be huge.
And he does have the option to do that with the Obsidian Forge.
He does. He could use the Obsidian Forge to kill the Galatops. Kills that Kirby, denying the efficiency. Oh, and it's an enhanced Relentless Creeper, which means capture it.
You love to see it.
Oh, chooses to go for the damage. Killing his own Galatops to sack it with the Ludo.
Yep, and that denies Sredz 3 amber. Okay, so Sredz, it's now got a board out that's not going to be impacted by action groupthink tank. Goes into a Saurian turn though.
I think, what's he going to see? You've got to remember the problem for Sredz here is that Pale Star, because as we all remember, it reduces everything to 1 power and 0 amp. That means anything with damage on it is going to die.
Yeah, and that right now does very much favour Pochh. Gets a ward onto the Questajata.
Yeah, he'd get 3 amber off it, Pochh, if he were to pop it next to him. 4 actually, because he'd destroy the Fiend as well.
Fiend, yeah.
There's that Angus. Goes for a Phalanx Strike.
So we can see what the options are. Takes out Ludo. Will probably exalt onto the previous Unguist to start boosting the power of everything.
I think that he does. Onto the groupthink tank because the groupthink tank has got that Scootum.
Yeah. Good decision there with the Pale Star still on the board. Puts the amber in the place where it can be denied to Pochh. And Sredz is on check for a second key.
Ahead of Pochh.
Yeah, just inching ahead there.
Pochh can easily put those stun lines. They could easily steal one with the Old Forge and the Fiend, but there's that Pale Star.
So,
Gotta wait for TCO to catch up.
Yeah. Just doing all of the prompts on these creatures. So Pochh goes up to 9 amber. Sred's key cost has increased to 8 with the sensitive Garcia.
And that promising this is gone.
And Pochh checks for key 2.
Just a huge swing there.
It's been a very swingy game, hasn't it?
It's been a very swingy game. You've got to wonder. Sredz has flipped the deck. He's probably not going to see that Primus again before the end of the game. But he could see other story stuff. Discards the Axiom. Phalanx strike again. Good think that Phalanx strike is a little bit of a risk
Yes,
with the Curia
it is.
out.
However, what kind of board clears are we looking at on?
Well, now that Pale Star's gone, there is no true board clear.
Yeah, so the risk of Pochh just killing his own creatures, then wiping the board, gobbling up all of the amber, has been mitigated. Best card in the game, Saurian Egg, is coming out. Will Pochh use the egg?
Interesting spoils of battle play from Pochh there, because yes, he captures one extra, but so did Sredz, and I think he'd have been at 6 if he hadn't done that.
Yeah, I suppose for Pochh, you've got the potential of an Obsidian Forge coming into play.
That's very true. Doesn't matter hugely if you maybe want to have enough creatures out that you can be saying to Sredz, it doesn't actually matter what you do. If you don't kill my creatures, I'll just off-forge.
And we are seeing a dis turn now.
Mark the dis.
Okay, this is the second one. Forcing Sredz into Star Alliance on next turn.
And killing it and getting himself up to 7 amber here. Pops that Obsidian Forge.
He's on 7 and there's 5 creatures.
Yep. There we go.
Pochh forges third key, winning 2 games and progressing into KFPL Season 2 top 8.
That was some blitzing fast games right there.
Yeah.
Got to feel that maybe Sredz was a tad unlucky at times. First matchup in particular felt very tricky.
Yeah. Do you think that staying on Marks was the right call here?
I know. I wouldn't have done it, but as I said, I feel like that's not a reflection on the decks. That's a reflection on the way I approach games. What I will say is that you've got to beat this deck with Marks eventually, right? Even if you win this game, even if you win the game and switch to Milan, win the game, you still have to win a game with Marks. And if you think, as I think might have been a reasonable thing to think, that Marks might be the weaker of the two in this matchup, maybe you just stick with Marks on the grounds that you've got to win with it eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a valid choice.
As I said, I wouldn't have done it, I'd have switched, but that's not a reflection on the deck choices, that's a reflection on playstyle. Would you have switched? I'm curious to know, Kay.
I think in general it feels better if you switch, because I think it's very easy to lose a game and get tilted.
Yeah, that's very true. See, we're asking for an instant. Yeah. Well, both players are keen to join an interview.
Okay.
I guess to be fair, at this point, they're both in season 3. There's obviously you want to keep going, but you've already had a huge achievement getting this far.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just give them a ring now.
You should probably stop ringing Z.
He just ignores it anyway. It's
fine. Hello.
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 So, like frightening pair of games, guys. Great set of games. Congratulations, Pochh, for progressing up to the top 8.
Yeah, congratulations from me.
Thank you, thank you.
So I guess the sort of obviously congratulations. Well done. We'll get that on winning the game spot. I think always my first question whenever I come into one of these interviews is to ask about, because it's a triad and it's one of the defining features of triad, is to ask about why did you two make the band choices that you did. Possibly a question more for Sredz than for Pochh. It seems like the choice of what deck to ban with Sredz 3 hasn't shifted a lot over the past 7 games.
Seems to be the case, yeah. So my decision with banning Oliver was not really a tough decision, to be honest. It was just like I saw the deck, and the deck list looked very scary with a lot of fast plays, or let's say a lot of fast cheated out Ember or cheated out keys. And I had no option but to ban the deck because I knew that Fluffy would get banned from me, of course. And my only question was, how do I get Marks through his lineup? And Oliver would have been a very tough matchup with the two Nature's Calls, because my Marks is kind of dependent on a board state, kind of dependent on having Ember on the creatures. So I just banned what was the worst matchup for Marks in hoping to beat one of his two decks.
That makes sense. We looked at Oliver, and I think we came to the similar conclusion that it had a lot of anti-Saurian nonsense in the Nature's Call, and also an insane amount of rush.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I suppose the same question goes to Pochh about bans.
yeah, so I banned Marks because no, not Marks, sorry, Fluffy rather. I banned Fluffy because one, it had Eton's Jar. It would absolutely crush two of my decks, which had a lot of duplicates. That would be Olivier and Savior, as well as X Peters, I guess, because of the Tribute September combo. So it would absolutely cripple my decks. On top of that, it had double Reclaim and Word of Returning. So it would absolutely destroy Savior. So it was an easy ban for me. Savior is not my weakest deck, but I tend to not like 100% lose games. So I'd just rather get it out.
I was kind of hoping of a different order of decks you played. I kind of hoped to catch your meaningless deck in the first game in the hopes of beating it with Marks, but that turned out to be not the case.
Yeah, I also had the same case. I was hoping you would play Milan first.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I queued up Peters. Because if you were going to play Marks, I'm on the opposite thought that I think Savior would be more consistent in beating Marks compared to Peters.
Yeah, that's true. Oh well, no, that's not what I found out in testing. I thought I had the best chance against Xavier, and not a good chance against the deck you played first. How's it called again? Xavier. Peters. Thank you. Because it all comes down to the one Pale Star turn, and at least in testing, the Pale Star Dark Minion combo came up way too inconsistent or way too early all the time, and I always had the board. But that you raced away so fast today was not something I expected to happen.
Yeah, that's the thing with Savior. If I don't draw the Pale Star early, at least I could get my Amber pips up.
Yeah.
In the start. And Savior has a lot of control. It has 2 spoils to see no training to just keep you off check while I go on check.
That's true. The Pale Star Dark Minion combo is such a good combo, I need to say.
Yeah, it is.
Makes me open my eyes for this combo.
We underestimated Peters when we were talking about it in the not Peters, so Xavier in the deck chat, because we were thinking about it mainly from the perspective of the fact that you've got Amphora capture and lots of pips to convert into capture pips. And I think what is easy to miss, particularly if you don't play Curia a lot, and I had it explained to me lots of times, and I still don't entirely understand how you use Curiosaurus to the best possible effect. You can, in fact, use it to generate quite a lot of amber, as I understand it from seeing Pochh and other people play it. But I think it's easy to miss that and to think that the thing of Xavier is you've got a lot of capture, forgetting that you can actually turn that quite quickly into a lot of amber once you've got the Curia.
Yes.
Go on.
Sorry. There was also this like big turn where I got to kill off my was it Galeatops, I think? Yeah, Galeatops. Why with Ludo on board. Turns like those are huge, especially with Curia. So having double Ludo on this deck is really insane. Because I can get all the Amber while they don't necessarily get theirs back.
Yeah, and we noticed that the two Ludos are a huge thing in that deck. And I guess we're sort of moving on from the immediate sort of reflections of this match and the bans that happened before it. How have the two of you found your KFPL experience? Because you're both part of, I think it's fair to say, two quite impressive Keyforge teams in the Hamburg Atlanteans and the United Archons. How have you found the KFPL? How have you how supportive have your teammates been? And have you enjoyed your experience?
Do you want to start, Pochh?
Sure. Well, for summing it up in one word, I guess it's exciting. Seeing the matchups every week, having close to a week to prepare for it, and having put in a lot of reps with teammates or self-testing, it's really quite a different experience compared to other monthly tournaments where games just go on in an hour and it's over. This one really, the prep really shows for everyone. And the amount of thinking and thought processes you get to hear from the interviews is quite interesting.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of skillful players through the KFPL, which is quite a wholesome experience. It makes me wonder a bit how I will be able to return to normal play once all the Corona stuff is over. Because looking at the deck list, testing a week for the matchups is one part, but then playing a 7-round tournament, reading a deck list for 2 minutes, and then making your decision based on that will be very interesting. I hope I can make the transition back to play normal again. And yeah, but also it's Triad is not really my favorite kind of playing Keyforge. So that's why I did not even expect to make the top 16, to be quite honest. I was surprised about that. Kind of glad that that I made myself the way into the KFPL season 3. And I'm also a bit happy that I have a bit more time in my schedule now since the KFPL is over for me, but I will still be eager to find out who takes down the whole pot in the end. I hope it will be Lorenzo, of course.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, do you have any other things you want to ask?
No, I think that I just want to say you guys had an amazing run, fantastic games. Sredz has been, you've been a bit of a concern for a lot of the UK players who were in Group F. It was very funny actually. Kept saying to Sredz, you say. It's like knowing that going into a game against Sredz would be a very difficult task. So, it's been a really good experience commentating these games and seeing you all play at such a high level. And wish you all the best for season 3 and for Pochh the next few weeks.
Thank you for your kind words, Muffins.
Thanks.
Okay.
So,
So, I think the next stream is going to be on the Screech Bob-omb channel.
it is.
In about 40 minutes, probably start in about 10-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that'll be for
okay, like
Damat
orange
96 versus Unarmed Goats.
Ah, yes.
Interesting game.
Yeah, it'll be a blast. So, if I can just paste that into chat.
I'm really excited about. Sorry, you can go ahead.
I was saying, I hope if you do follow Keyforge that you do follow Team Screech Bomb and our commentary. But it should be a really interesting game, that one.
Yeah, it'll be great.
An exciting matchup for me is Dave and Alex, because I was with Alex in Group F, and if Alex wins his match against Dave, it's gonna be a rematch in
Ooh,
playoff.
I know we're technically past the interview. Do you want it to be a rematch, Pochh, or would you rather face out?
I'm not sure. I've yet to study their decks, but I think I'll need to start looking at Dave soon. But rematching against Alex would be scary at the same time, interesting.
Fair enough. Right. Thank you very much for joining us. I believe that is the end of our stream.
yeah.
All right. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks
speaking
for having.
to us. And yeah, next match on the Screech Bob-omb Twitch. Go there, go watch it. It's going to be incredible, and we'll see you all there. Thanks for
You know.
watching.
Bye.
Bye.